It says now we are live. So
Yep,
does that mean we're live?
we're live.
All right. Welcome in, everybody. It's a Silver Lining Podcast. I'm Adam. Next to me is Rex. We have Cami and we have Missy, who are our moderators. It looks like to the right of me, there's already people chit-chatting in the chat area. So if you
Yep.
want to get on, if you want to ask questions today, make sure you get on, ask the questions. The moderators will put your questions through to us, and Rex and I will do our best in the next hour to answer as many as those as we can. I'm not on a time crunch for once in my life, so this is actually going to be good.
Yeah, I
Uh,
am. So I'll leave it an hour. You
oh, so now so Rex will leave early, and I'll stay on for the next hour after that and chit
yeah,
chat.
that's how long
um,
it'll be probably.
yeah. Well, the last time we did a podcast, we were obviously talking about Lori being her own attorney, and then she apparently represented herself earlier this week. And some people saw it, some people heard about it, and people are still trying to figure out what is going to happen, what's she going to pull, what's she going to try, how's things going to work with her. Is this going to be a disaster? Is she putting a lot of effort into this? The speculation on the last podcast was, she's in jail, she's there, bored, I'm sure. So I'm sure she's had time to review things and try to put things together and make some kind of a defense. But really deep in my soul, I don't feel like she's going to call a bunch of witnesses or cross-examine other witnesses. I may be wrong, but I think for her, it's just going to be more of she's going to go with whatever is coming or whatever happens. She'll just kind of roll with things and see this thing through. I don't see her objecting a bunch. I don't see her, trying to act like a legitimate lawyer. But again, I could be completely wrong. She may have something up her sleeve, and a lot of you think that, but I just don't.
Let me first point out your sponsor crush is well represented. I like
Yes,
because we love them sponsoring you.
yes,
And
we
the
do.
product. Lori did come off very as lawyer like as she could with no real lawyer training. I noticed in the preliminary hearing before, well, I guess it was in this hearing, when he asked why she wanted to represent herself. No, this was in the previous hearing. She didn't answer that question. I wish she would have. I would like to hear her answer that question. Why are you representing yourself? Instead, she gave all of her qualifications for doing what she's doing. But she tried to really be lawyer like and give lawyer like um, some of the terminology, but she stayed focused on stuff that she thought was relevant. Turns out not all of it was, but she's really trying, I think, to be a lawyer. Let's see
Mhm.
what some of these. Um, well, Stella Luna, 88, we're starting off with her. She's asking a question of everyone, but probably you to start with, Adam. What did you think of Lori's tone of voice when dealing with the judge in Phoenix?
Well, obviously, Lori's got this. If you guys watch the video when she was talking to the police officers, when she goes into a mode where it's just kind of like, oh, I just she just that's just how Lori is. That's her. I know you guys may think she's putting on some kind of a show or whatever, but that's really how Lori is. So that my take is that she's just being her. And who is she? And that's the question that a lot of us really don't know, because does she have split personalities? Is she one way one minute and one way another minute? She's mentally ill. She's got so I don't know what we're gonna get. But I'm sure that when she talks, you're going to realize that there's a pattern when she talks. Sometimes with people, and you're going to see that as she tries to defend herself.
And something else that occurred to me, Adam, along those same lines. I haven't had a conversation with Lori in 6 years.
Mhm.
So that was the first time I have heard her in that amount of time. And it did bring back a lot that I had forgotten about how she is, who she is, things like you're saying right now, the patterns, that she'll talk in a pattern. So there were no surprises in me when she was talking, other than the fact that I'd forgotten what she's like and how she might approach something. So that was interesting to me. Let's address this. This isn't specifically a Lori topic, but H. House says, "Oh, and I think there should be a law made that victims do not have to face the person who wronged them. The victim should be protected." And let me address that first, Adam, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Um, and H. House, I love your perspective on things, and you always have good thought out comments. I personally don't agree with this view. In this case, I wish Lori victims didn't have to worry about facing her, like Adam, like Zach, like people that might be there in the courtroom. I wish that were true for this case. But since we just came off a very divisive political battle in this country recently in the last few months, well, we're still in it, basically. And there's so much that people do by innuendos, unnamed sources, etc., that do so much damage, and there's so much lying and corruption. When the person might be innocent, which I don't believe is true in this case, when the person might be innocent, I think they should be able to face their accusers. And since you don't know until until the jury comes in, I don't know a way to avoid that. So
Yeah, and I think in this case though, Rex, a lot of us, all of us probably know that Lori's guilty. There's
right,
no, it's not like this is a case where, well, maybe she's innocent, or maybe, sometimes you go to court and you just don't know because there's some evidence that says this and some evidence that says this. And with Lori, we all know she's guilty. There's just
mhm.
there's nothing. So in that aspect, I understand why she's saying that question, like Rex just said. But yeah, in general, if there is a question, then yeah, I agree with Rex about that.
So Judy's asking specifically if you watched Lori. Did
No,
you get to see it? Okay, so I know you heard a lot about it because we talked about it.
yeah, no,
Mhm.
I didn't watch it. I think my mom and sister went to the court to see it, and so, but I haven't even talked to them about it. So, I've been so busy. I moved into a new apartment. I got tons of pickleball lessons. It's like my life right now is like it's fast paced. So I really didn't have a lot of time to catch up on Lori's stuff.
And I'll make this observation. I don't want to speak for you, Adam, but um, the closer you get to Lori, and you can't get much closer than Adam, the more of an emotional, I'll just say, event or drain it is. And so I'm sure Adam, like other people in the family, are kind of picking their battles, time when they can go and engage in it. Don't plan on Adam or any other family members to be watching each situation and being as involved as they can, because it's a terrible toll for any of us. All of us are emotionally invested, aren't we? I mean, all of us in the whole community, anyone that has, not anyone, but most people that have emotionally adopted Tylee and JJ, and so they're emotionally involved in this case. It's a big toll to deal with. And so warriors like Kay and Larry that can go to most of the um, sessions of the trial, I just admire their strength to no end, but that is tough to do. So,
And I think here's a good point that I didn't really thought about. And Kay and Larry know Lori. They didn't spend a ton of time with Lori, but enough time to know her. For me, growing up with Lori and spending a lot of time with Lori and being super close to Lori, I think for me, like I think I'm blocking a lot of stuff out, that all the stuff that's happened, like in my mind, I want to see, I want to feel like Lori was the person before all this stuff happened. And so going through all this stuff that Lori's going through, I think for me to avoid that keeps me in a safe place to where I'm just kind of like blocking that out. And maybe that's a function. I don't know. Maybe Dr. What's his name? Dr. Slade. Yeah, Slade can diagnose that. But I think for me, seriously, I think there's something there for me.
Well, I think that's just called protection, self-preservation. I don't think you have to dig too deep for that.
Yeah.
But I will make the observation that I think is obvious to anyone that knows you, that's been listening to these podcasts. That doesn't mean Adam is naive. It doesn't mean Adam doesn't think that Lori is guilty. It means Adam's being smart about his own mental health, is my take on that.
Good. I'm glad you called me smart. I love that.
Yeah, glad to do that. Mary Torbert says, I got the vibe she wanted to take some investigators to task. I think Lori wants to battle. I think she wants to play lawyer and be there and put up a battle and make people think she's smart and shine and all that. I don't know that's going to happen, but I'm with you, Mary. I think she wants to take maybe investigators, maybe others to task. We'll see. This is interesting. I think we talked about this, Adam. Nate and Justin were both there, and they did a simulcast. They did a little interview together after the hearing. Great to see them together. I think all of us love that because we all love them both. They've done so much, and so for them to be able to be on together, be there together, we all like it. Plus, they did their own individual thing after that. But it was good to see them together. Our friend Ann Ritchie is watching from Scotland, saying it's nice to catch up with you. And while we're talking about friends that are on here regularly, Jill emailed me and told me how to pronounce her last name. It's Raby. I hope, because I'm going to go back and look now, because it's been a week. I've slept since then.
Yes.
But she asked, did you get the vibe from Lori that she thought prosecution didn't have enough evidence? Well, yeah, like they weren't going to present enough. Well, no, that is basically what she said, isn't it? Like she didn't, like she's
hinting around that there's not enough to convict her, kind of stuff.
That's a good way to say it.
Well, I think because of the police department screwing things up too is not going to go great for the prosecution. As far as certain holes, I'm sure, but there's no way that a jury is going to think that Lori didn't do this or was involved, or was all it is conspiracy. I mean, that's really all it is. What did Lori conspire to kill Charles? That was it, and the answer is yes.
Now, I want to make an observation about this comment before I even read the comment. This is a brave stance from someone.
Okay.
Only because she's coming out and saying something positive about Lori. And most people in this case, and I'm not judging anyone, most people in this case want to hear nothing positive about Lori. So for someone to say, and here's what Tammy Morgan said.
Yep.
Tammy, I believe from Texas, I was impressed with her first appearance as a lawyer. Frankly, I was too. That some of the fears that we had were that she was going to just go off the rails and get into her made up fantasy religious beliefs or be completely clueless. I was impressed that she is in the game, so to speak.
So what was the impressive part? That she showed up, she looked the part, she talked the part, or it wasn't a complete disaster? Is that it was an impression? If your expectations were this is going to be a disaster, and then when it wasn't a disaster, like, oh, I'm impressed, or was it, wow, she must have really been doing some studying because she knew a lot of stuff? Which one was it? One of those two?
A little bit of a combination of both for me. I'll let others speak for them, but I was impressed. She's prepared with her statement, with her strategy. She got a big strike on something she thought was relevant that turned out not to be, and they pointed it out. So if she were a trained lawyer, then she'd probably know that, but she's not. But she was prepared, had some type of strategy, had some purpose for the hearing, trying to get some information, and did it within the realm. So I think it's a combination of, hey, she really prepared, good for her, and oh, she didn't go off the rails and talk about being married to some angel or something.
Yeah.
On both counts.
So I guess it's going to be in a what are your expectations of how Lori is going to defend herself? Whether you think that it's going to be terrible and it's like, oh, it's not that bad, or whatever it is. I think expectations are everything.
Yeah. And so here's another take on it. Perfectly valid take too. Sonia Finnegan said, she sounds like she's either reading a book report to the class or her attempt at joining the debate team. Either way, she sounds stupid. Okay, I can't argue that at all. Dogmon says, do you think her arrogance and condensation, I know how to say this.
Station?
She's not condensation. That's like when
that's in that water.
She's being condescending.
Condescending.
Convention. Yeah. I don't even know how to say it. Maybe. Thank you, Lisa from the other room's helping me. Condescension. Do you think her arrogance and condescension is fake? Not any more fake than any other time in her life. Do you think?
I'm not. The thing is like, who knows what personality she has, or who she is, or she's one way one day and one way another day. So is that bipolar? Is that, who knows? She's never been diagnosed with anything, but who knows what kind of personality's a disorder if she has one. So if one day she's arrogant and one day she's humble, I mean, I don't think we're definitely not going to get consistency.
So one sense, Dog Mom, is it fake? You might say that anything but just telling the truth is fake. So I don't know how to categorize it, but yeah, I think with the intent of your question, Lori could come across as arrogant, certainly if she thinks she's talking with people that aren't as bright as her. And, obviously with all of her fake experiences of talking with Jesus and being right up there with him and, all that, then of course she's got to think she's better than others. And that comes through. Gloria Thornton said, I felt she held her own with a bunch of word salad. Oh, maybe a future in politics. Indeed, she had studied some, but she also is ill prepared regarding detail needed to present her case. Good points, Gloria. Good observations. Thank you for that.
Yeah, there's going to have to be a lot of detail that, obviously she'll probably bypass all the details, because there's when you're trying to do a case and cover all that, I'm sure that she's going to be more of a broad stroke than like painting a picture.
Yep. H House, Rex, I can answer your question. I think H House is right on track here. Rex, I can answer your question as to why she wants to represent herself. Ego. I think that's hitting the proverbial nail on the head there, H House.
Could be, yeah.
Our Kimberly Bell from Jury Duty Podcast. Unfortunately, the accused, no, not unfortunately, that's Kimberly Bell from Jury Duty Podcast. Let me get my pauses in order here.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a comment from Kimberly from Jury Duty Podcast. Quote, unfortunately, the accused also have a right to face their accusers. Yep. In this case, I feel that is unfortunate, as we were talking
about. But again, do you think Lori's going to cross-examine whoever the prosecution brings up on the stand? I don't think that she would do that. She may, but
I think she will, for the same reason that we saw here. And that's why I say we're speculating about what we think we'll see from lawyer Lori, because this is our first indication. And based on this indication, I think she's going to be in there playing lawyer and cross-examining, when she has something to say. I don't know. But
it'll be interesting to find out what questions that she cross-examines with, whoever is going to be testifying. Like obviously the police, if they get the police up there, or maybe they don't get the police up there.
Mhm.
I mean, don't they have to?
Get the police?
Yeah, don't you think the prosecution has to have the police up there or no?
Well,
The
they don't
ones
have
that,
to, like, by rule. You mean because
like
of this particular case, they need to have them up there?
yeah, because they were the ones that came into the house and saw everything. Because if they're trying to, isn't it about killing Charles? A conspiracy to kill Charles? The
It's a
police,
conspiracy to kill him. So if the police have something that shows it was a conspiracy, but remember at the time, the Chandler police, at least, the ones that were on the scene, I don't know what they would say about the conspiracy
mm. So
because
this when you
right
talk
on
about
the scene,
so when you talk about conspiracy, this whole case is going to be about text messages about wanting Charles dead. Is that a conspiracy? That's the what the prosecution's going with, or what do you think? What do you think is the prosecution's case? If
I
it's
don't
not
know.
about if it's not physical evidence, what is it going to be?
Yeah, I'm interested. If it was about murder, it would be about physical evidence.
Right, but
About
it is about murder because Charles died.
it's about conspiracy. Yeah, but Lori is not being tried for his murder.
Right. So
He's
obviously
being tried for conspiring. So even if he didn't get killed, there was a conspiracy to kill him. I mean, most of us believe there is a conspiracy to kill him.
Mhm.
Their job or their task is to prove that conspiracy.
I wonder how that's going to go down. I
And
wonder what route they're taking.
exactly. That's what we all wonder because on its face, it was initially presented as self-defense. And, if it was self-defense, I don't know the conspiracy carries into it. Yeah,
Hmm.
conspiracy, but turns out he got killed by self-defense. Like if there's a conspiracy, they're conspiring to kill him, and then he got killed in a random car crash. Would the
Right.
conspiracy carry over into that? That's why we're interested to see what the prosecution will do.
Well, remember when Charles was telling the police officers that my wife has lost her mind and
Mhm.
she's going to kill me and all that stuff. So maybe that police officer gets
Yeah,
maybe that's the guy that gets
he
interviewed.
might, or the cam might. I know might suffice for that. Just the body.
Yeah. Yeah, body cam.
They have
Yeah.
that recording. I don't know. Jessam, here's a kind thought. Thank you. You're a very strong family. I admire you all.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Again, I'm looking in the second row of the family and saying how much I admire Adam, Summer, Janice. I know Nate may have forgotten this in his comments afterwards. He said this is the first time Summer or Janice have been in court. That's true as observers, but of course, Summer was in court as a witness in Lori's trial, and I haven't admired anyone more than I admired her sitting there listening to that recording of her yelling at Lori in jail and then having to face the cross-examination redirect after doing that. I was my admiration for Summer I already admired Summer, but grew exponentially at that point. But thank you, Jessam. Very kind thought. Care for JCYT. I watched it live and it was a mix of haughty bravado, but also a fair attempt at presenting her case. Oh, there's a good observation.
What's
Yeah,
haughty bravado? What is that?
haughty is like being you're usually haughty if you're condescending.
Mm,
Like I'm better than you. And bravado, of course, I'm better than you and I'm cool.
yeah.
I'm sure Care for JCYT would have explained that better than I just did.
Well, you did a good job. I just was like, I don't think I've heard that term.
But also a fair attempt at presenting her case. Yeah.
Yeah.
Darlene Butler, hi Darlene, says, yes, Rex, we are invested. You're absolutely right. Exactly. Our community, at least, I think there are a lot of people out there in addition to our community, but we're in this community because I think we all emotionally adopted Tylee and JJ to some degree. And so we're all virtually all of us are invested emotionally, I think, in this case. I'd be surprised if there are very many exceptions of that. So Lee T, this must come from a conversation in the live chat that we didn't see the first half from THX 1138. But Lee T's addressing a comment saying victims' families are accusers also. Don't be ticked at me, just stating what the Constitution says. I think Lori is despicable. So we're with you. We all think that what she did is despicable.
You know, the other thing that came to my mind was that, you know, Lori trying to get that $1 million insurance policy on Charles and having that all switch to Kay. And that's definitely got to be part of the conspiracy.
Oh, it's got to be.
Yeah. That whole episode has to be part of it. And then Lori buying a wedding ring or a wedding dress before, you know, Tammy was even killed or something. I can't remember the timeline and all that, but there was a lot of stuff going on. I'm sure all that will be brought up in this case.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. It was brought up in Chad's case, of course, as it should have been, and I'm sure it'll be brought up here too. I think you're right. Heather says, you all have continued to handle this with such grace and dignity. I have so much respect for you all. Continued prayers for you all. Thank you for those continued prayers. A lot of us in the family feel that's what's getting us through this, because there's so many people praying, sending positive energy, loving, sending love. Thank you, Heather. Now, I said Sonja before. It may be Sonia, or anyway, there are two J's. Sonia with two J's, Finnegan, says, Lori thinks she's the smartest and prettiest person in that courtroom, but the judge sees right through her. And thank goodness for that. The last judge did too, didn't he? Judge Boyce in Idaho. I really appreciated his perspective on it all.
I think everybody's on high alert with that after, you know, what happened with the police officers here and Lori, and they're like, oh my gosh, she batted her eyes, and they just said, okay, you're free to go. I think now after, you know, judges and lawyers and police and everybody's like taking it serious now. that they're the ones being watched now to make sure that doesn't happen again. Right.
Tammy Morgan said, I agree, Adam. The police hindered the prosecutor's investigation.
Yeah.
Tammy, I'm not sure what you're referring to. I think the police didn't do an investigation initially, or a thorough one, or they would have done gunshot residue and some other things, but I don't know how they hindered the prosecutor's investigation. Maybe you should give us more on that, because the prosecutors, of course, got involved later. So maybe give us a little more.
I think she's trying to say that, you know, because they screwed up the initial investigation of, you know, Lori and Alex both should have been charged with, you know, murdering Charles, that because they didn't do that, she got off and all that stuff. Now the prosecution is going to have a harder time proving whatever they're trying to prove, the conspiracy to murder. But I don't know if they go hand in hand or not.
Okay, I get that. If that's what it was. If there's something else, Tammy, let us know.
Yeah.
So we represent fairly. Teresa W. said she didn't. Now, I think you're talking about Lori, so let me plug that in here, see if it makes sense. Lori said Lori didn't see anything that indicates a crime was committed. Okay.
That it was self-defense and that's what she's going on. She's obviously going on self-defense.
Yeah, and that would make sense that she would. So,
and then why you're trying to get Charles's life insurance changed to $1 million, and why why did you get mad at Kay and call her the next day or whatever happened? I don't even know the whole story of what happened, but I just know, and you're talking about conspiracy. All that's conspiracy to where a jury has to put it all together, because there's not going to be something with evidence of Lori's hand on a gun murdering. That's just not going to happen. So
Yeah,
this
well,
is
that's
going. The
not even,
jury's going to have to figure out. The prosecution is going to put all these different points around, and then you're going to have to. The jury's going to have to say, "Oh yes, this is overwhelming."
yeah, that would be a different charge if they had that.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Kimberly B, she was coherent, coached, and made some sense, which was weird. Yeah, that's
Who
Kimberly
coached her? You think?
of the preliminary hearing. Well, her legal team there. She has a legal team.
Yeah, but she doesn't want to talk to them, right? Why does she want them to represent
Oh yeah,
her?
no, they are there. They were sitting with her,
Oh,
coaching her even during the hearing.
gotcha.
So she has a team. She has investigators on her team.
Hmm.
So yeah, coherent and coached as she should be. We want her to be because we don't want this to be a complete waste of time. So it was weird though, Kimberly. I'm with you on the weirdness of that. Okay, so H House said, I'm sorry, but I watched a trial where the victim had to answer questions from her rapist who was playing lawyer.
Hmm.
The trauma, that is horrific. I hate that.
Mhm.
The trauma was she endured through it was agonizing. I do not think it's right. Yeah, I'm with you. That is gut wrenching. I wish they would have a different way to do both, to address both to avoid something that sounds that ridiculous and still avoid it so someone can be charged anonymously and not um, not have a chance to face their accusers.
Right.
Deborah Anderson says, I agree. She presented well, but reading between the lines, she continues to present herself as a victim and she didn't do anything wrong. Yep. And I think we're going to see that all the way. I think that's going to be a constant, Deborah, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
She's
She's
going
going
to,
to blame Alex. He did it. It was self-defense. You're just going to hear probably all that stuff all over again.
Mhm. As long as we don't have to hear that it was Tylee.
Yeah.
Moving on. Victoria Tabor, or Tabor, probably Tabor. I didn't think she sounded stupid. If I didn't know anything, I might think she's normal. Yeah, very true. Based on
So
that little segment.
yeah, and that was a lot of the problem
Mhm.
that Lori seems normal and talks normal, and that's why I think she passed. When Charles went to get her to go to a psych eval, and she passed it, and then in front of the police officers, and she felt normal there, and they let her go. Like she does that. And so I think, like I said, depending on the day or what goes on in her brain, you're going to see a calm, normal Lori, or you're going to see a breakdown, or you're going to see something different. But I think she's just going to try to do the best she can with whatever my personal feeling is that she's mentally ill. Like, so, and I know some of you don't agree with that, but that's my personal thought.
I think all of us agree she's mentally ill. This, well, virtually all of us. Maybe there's some people that just call it something else. That
Yeah.
doesn't preclude the fact that she's also evil. And
Yeah.
it does not excuse her. It's not like she can't decide when to lie and not lie and how to represent herself. That's why I changed my mind. And I don't think she's lost in a delusional world. I think she's living in a delusional world, but it allows her to live in this world also. And when she's functioning in this world, she'll continue manipulating as any evil murderer will do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we're going to see that throughout. I don't think we'll get a break from that. Dana Schullenberger says the more she doesn't get her way in court, she will go off the rails. Her true colors will show. I believe that. That's a good observation, don't you think, Adam?
Yeah, if it starts going really south really fast, and people are accusing her or whatever it looks like, she may lose it. Who knows?
I am falling woefully behind, Adam. There are now 45 starred
Oh,
comments. You will
okay.
be here a while after I take off. Abby Kilgore says, I can't stand why she insisted on her name being Daybell when all Chad did was throw her under the bus and back over her.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. Well, obviously she's not in her right mind, but maybe she still thinks that, her and Chad are, this is beyond this world in
And
her
that was
mind.
all part of the plan, I'm sure.
Right. This is beyond this world. You guys are in this world. We're in another world kind of thing.
Yeah. Yep. Lori Leary says, why does your name tag say Grunkle Rex? Thank you for saying that. I like to be referred to that way instead of Uncle Rex. I'm Adam and Lori's uncle, of course. I don't deny that. But I love being associated in this case to the fact that I'm Tylee and JJ's great uncle, but I'm too lazy to say great uncle. So in our family, we just smash it together and say Grunkle.
Everybody gets nicknames.
Yeah, everyone in my life basically has a nickname.
Yeah.
And that gives me a reminder. I love to bring this out from time to time, and Kimberly's here. And so this is a kind of a tribute to Kimberly's thoughtfulness, but really her tribute to Tylee and JJ for all of us. This is a certificate. And those of you that haven't heard the explanation, well, I guess all of you are going to hear it again. Kimberly went out and had a star named for Tylee and JJ. Isn't that an incredible gesture? And this is a certificate that comes along with it when you get a starred name.
Yeah, it's super awesome.
And I'd cry just reading the tagline on it right now. So I won't do that, but thank you again, Kimberly.
It's been a minute since you cried. Let's go ahead. Read it, Rex.
Yeah, I cried. I watched a movie recently or something. I cried.
Oh, good. It's good to get those out.
Heather said, agreed. She truly feels there is still trust in Chad, and he's throwing her under the bus if it saves him. Yeah, he is. So,
but it's not saving Chad. Chad, he's already had his day in court, so there's nothing really.
Not anymore. Yeah. Well, he may still throw under the bus during the appeals and
all that stuff. Yeah.
Everything to come. Harriet Bass says, looks like she wants to embarrass law enforcement and the court system. Yeah, I think that'll work against her, but I wouldn't be surprised. She doesn't think that she should be accountable to anyone. Good point. Doesn't count for me. Remember, that's her thing.
Well, I think the reason for that is because her and Chad think that they're next to Jesus up here, like that whole thing that they've been spewing to people.
Yeah.
We're above courts. We're with God. We're above this world. We're above all that.
Notice how Chad thinks that he is, but didn't say Lori is. That's interesting. Anyway, the rest of Harriet's comment looks like she thinks that she can convince anyone of anything. Yeah, well, she's going to find out if she can. Deborah Anderson asked, why does Lori continue to signal her loyalty to Chad even though he totally threw under the bus?
Because he's next to Jesus. And just even do this. Think about, why would Lori end up with Chad? Like, we all are like, what in the world happened there? Lori looks at Chad because Chad is next to Jesus. Chad has said that he's next in line, all these things. And Lori wants that kind of power. She wants that kind of recognition. And if she truly believes that Chad is next to Jesus. And so that's why. Otherwise, it doesn't make any other sense. She's all in.
Yep. I love this analogy Kimberly used. I've heard it in different use. It's very valid here too. Kimberly says, I've given up predicting her. It's like trying to brush your teeth while eating Oreos.
Right.
Love
just keeps on getting in there. By the way, you got to dip your Oreos in milk. You just can't eat Oreos without milk.
That's a good point.
Okay. Just making sure we're all on the same page.
See, that's the trouble. You try to predict her. And that's why I've tried to adopt my youngest daughter's approach to it. She said, I just have no expectations of Lori.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good way to approach it.
As Adam points out frequently, she's mentally ill. She's evil. She's accountable. What she did is horrendous, but she's mentally ill. So how do you predict what's going to come out of a mentally ill person's mouth? Angie Lapine says, is it true Janice and Summer were at this last hearing? Yeah, they were there. We don't know why. I don't have any insight to it. Neither Adam nor I have talked to them since the hearing, so no insight there.
Hold on, I got a text. Somebody wants me to move my head so they can watch the game. Can they see it from
That was from me. No, you're
you just texted me. Are you blocking the game? Oh, man. How dare you? How dare you think the game's more important than me?
Lee T says, I just hope she leaves Colby alone. Amen.
Well, Colby, do you think Colby would be brought into this case? He wasn't living there with him. He wasn't paying attention. I mean, Lori did lie to Colby and Lori told Colby that Charles had a heart attack and died. And then when he got there, she changed her story and said that Alex killed him in self-defense. So why in the world, who knows why Lori said all that?
Yeah.
But Colby may be brought into it. I don't know why or how that would work, but yeah.
I hope not. I just hope not. I hope Colby, Adam, Zach, I hope none of them have to be involved in it. Summer, none of them, I hope. But again, we aren't predicting, nor are we good predictors. Hedgehog in Space says, for what it's worth, y'all have the right to not be surprised by a successful appeal. You'll be able to witness justice in action every step of the way. Well, I think that's valid. Thank you for that, Hedgehog, always giving us good thoughts, good insight. Here's THX 1138. Dog Mom, remember that body cam footage of the wellness check? She is a psychopath, lies pathologically. And pathologically goes along with, but I'll say it very easily, doesn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Just on it. Lie after lie. So good observation there, THX. Driftwood, I thought she presented well and her language was good, which is a worry, ? And may I ask, would she be able to cross-examine family and Kay? Yeah, she's the attorney. She can cross-examine if the prosecution brings them up to
the witness stand. She's next. Yeah. She gets to ask whatever she wants until the judge is like, "Oh, that doesn't pertain." Unless what's going to be weird is Lori's going to be saying certain things. The prosecution will say objection. The obviously, I think the judge will be like, sustained. I don't think there's going to be any overruling, right? Or
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
We'll see. So there it is. Driftwood said, I thought she presented well. That was the one we just had. Why did I do that wrong? No wonder it didn't work for me. From Maureen Guichard. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Will she be able to question the experts? Cell phone information. She can cross-examine any witness the prosecution.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Now, what I found may be interesting in the comments from the hearing is if she calls herself as a witness. Apparently, there are two ways it can be done. She could just do a narrative, or hey, here's the question. My answer is, and separate the two. And someone thought, this was in the comments, I can't remember who it was, sorry, but someone thought that the judge had told her she can't use a narrative because a narrative is a lot easier for her to start going off the rails and waste some time before he can get into it. So
I imagine Lori going on the witness stand and first standing there and asking a question and then sitting on the witness stand, answering it, then going back and forth, asking herself questions. Now that would be entertaining.
Yep. H-House, question. So, Adam, if you have to testify, how do you think you're going to handle being questioned by her?
I don't know if she would question me. I don't know what if she, I mean, who knows? I have no idea how I'm going to react if that happens. I don't know what questions she would possibly have for me. But it will be interesting it would definitely be interesting. It would be a very weird experience. Just a little. Oh wait, my energy is turning off. Got it. I thought I was plugged in. Hold on. Remember last time when my phone went?
Yep, we do. We lost Adam.
Oh, it's not plugged in.
But it's been a while.
All right, let's plug it in. Okay, that should be better. So when growing up, like when we were teenagers, we used to do something, and I would call it court, and we would get in the kitchen, and I would be, Lori, is it true that you had a friend spend the night last night without our parents knowing? And call her out in front of everybody. And then so we did this thing called court, where we would get each other on the witness stand and ask each other questions. Back then it was hilarious. It was like, fun. But this would be a legitimate, like, weird thing, real court. Because the lawyer would be like, Adam, is it true you had two girls on the phone at one time and telling the other one to hold on while you talk to the other girl, or whatever it was?
So Adam, what you're telling us is Lori has years worth of vendetta to unload on you.
Yeah, but what the judge would say? None of this has to do with the court. I would say, objection, Your Honor. This has nothing. I would be on the witness stand objecting to everything she asked me.
Okay, so that will be quite a show. Now you've got me looking forward to it. I didn't want you.
No, I hope I don't have to. I really do.
Okay.
I haven't been to any of the courts. I hopefully I don't have to go.
Okay, so Jill Ravy asked, does anybody else know that Kay has said she can't wait to go face to face with Lori? Oh, go Kay. Okay. Dog Mom says, are her mother and sister still 100% backing her as far as her innocence? I was wondering that because they were in the courtroom. Adam?
Backing her. What does that mean, backing her?
As far as her innocence.
No.
They think she's
nobody thinks Lori's innocent. Nobody.
Yeah, since they found the children's bodies, Janice and Summer have very publicly come out and in their regret of supporting Lori before.
Yeah.
They're in the courtroom. Now, here's a little tidbit. Most of you know this better than I do, but when you go to court, when I went to court, I didn't know the dynamics, but I automatically was seated behind the prosecution. And if you're seated there, that means you're there to support the prosecutors, or that's the best seat you could get. If you're there to support the defendant, you sit in a certain section. Now, in the current courtroom, it's so small that you probably have to sit anywhere where you can get. Janice and Summer were sitting behind the prosecution. So if you were going to extract anything from that, you would have to say they were not there in support of Lori. Just like my daughters and I, when we were behind the prosecution. If we had known the difference, we would have chosen to sit behind the prosecution. Okay, but that's one thing they talked about in the preliminary hearing, is getting a bigger courtroom so more people could witness it, because there'll probably be a little bit more of a demand.
Yeah.
And I'm eating up my time. I'm going to take off in a couple minutes. But next question from Lizzie B212. Isn't the fact that they have video of Charles Vallow saying she was going to kill him? They do, in fact, have that.
Mm-hmm. Charles said that to the police officer.
Yeah. I'm sure Lori will say, well, it says I could. It doesn't say I was actually threatening you, but they may have more than we've seen. Adam from Lindsay Gandy. Adam, does pickleball have you busy these days? What is Crush? Your chance to advertise a little.
Oh, nice. Yes. Pickleball has me extremely busy. I've been doing lessons, clinics, tournaments. Crush is my new sponsor. They're a great pickleball brand. Their paddles are amazing. All their gear is amazing. You can go to their website, use my code word Adam15 and get 15% off. How about that for a sell? I like it.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm going to put this one up, and I'll take off and look forward to seeing all the comments, both the live and the other comments later. Looks like we have about 430 people with you, Adam. And Adam, can you see the starred comments okay?
Let me move. I haven't even been on the start. I've been on the live reading those. All right, here's the start. Okay, I got started. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll leave y'all with this one. Brown-eyed girl, she'll go after, I think that's Melanie Gibb, Zulema, and Kay. Your thoughts on that as I take?
Oh, I'm wondering. I wonder how many. Who's going to be on there? Zulema, Kay, um, Melanie. Both Melanies. Are they going to be called into this? Again, this is conspiracy to kill Charles. So it'll be interesting to see who is being called, who the prosecution is going to be calling, and then how Lori is going to defend that. Interesting to find. I mean, it's all going to be interesting to find out. Let's see. Yeah, I agree with that. Oh, sorry, I'm reading it to myself. Let's go to this. I know your family will be relieved when these trials are over and done. I got to tell you, there's not a day that goes by that's like, when is this nightmare gonna be over? When can we finally shut the door on this and start living our lives more normal than have to worry about all this? It'd be different if Lori would just be like, okay, I'm guilty. Just, let's bypass all this. But, she's obviously not doing that. And people in the family not happy about it, but that's just the way it is. Yeah. So I mentioned this early too, that Charles's life insurance policy will definitely, show what they were planning on doing or what the plan was. And, I don't know, we really talked about the money situation a lot, but, when Tammy died, Chad took out right before Tammy died, a week or 2 weeks or a month or something like that, another $200,000 or $300,000 on her life insurance policy. And then Lori did that with Charles to $1 million. And so obviously their plan was to get the money so then they could start collecting all these people to be the 144. And they had a game plan to move to Hawaii and wait for the Lord to come and spend all this money. I mean, it sounds crazy, and you're like, what kind of plan is that? But we're dealing with people that were just out of their brain and falling for stuff that, Chad being a fiction writer and people just buying into what he said as real things. Ridiculous. Question: do you think that they will use some of the evidence that they used in Idaho? Same thing. Will some of the evidence in Idaho be used in Arizona? I'm not sure, because it does tie together with all the killing, because the kids were killed, Tammy was killed, Charles was killed. So it depends. The problem is that Alex ended up killing Charles. It wasn't Lori. So Lori's being charged with conspiracy. What did she do to conspire to kill Charles? I was surprised on some of these, things that came out in the Idaho trials with text messaging. And so I would like to see the text messages and all the different phones that they used and phone burners. Like, did they get stuff off of there? Can you record their voices? What's legal? What can we hear? What do we need to, I would love to see that whole plan in place. And so is some of that evidence, is there more of that evidence? Is there more texting that's going on that we didn't know? Like, for me to find out on Netflix that I was on the list to be killed, that was shocking to me, because I didn't get to see any text messages. Nobody called me and said anything about these text messages. So I'm trying to find, what text messages were sent on which burner phones. Can you trace burner phones? What can you get from burner phones? I'm just trying to find out what that evidence is going to be like. Let's see. What does this say about Lori? Do you think Summer knew anything about Charles like some others have spoken about? I don't think so. I don't think Summer knew anything about Charles. Lori, Lori was talking to Summer and my mom, but Lori also shut everybody off certain times or told people what they want, what she wanted them to know or not know. So I don't think, no, Summer didn't know that they were conspiring to kill Charles. I don't believe that at all. Are cameras allowed in? That I can't, Annette, sorry, I'm not posting these up here. I'm just reading them. Janet, I thought I heard that they were going to be allowing cameras in the court. Did I hear that wrong? All right, let's see. We have Kimberly. Yes, we love the star that you did for Tylee and JJ. That was amazing. That really caught us off guard too. We were like, wow. Let's see. Anna Franco. We like Anna. Let's put her on. See. Hi, Adam. Lori probably believes Jesus is going to figure out a exemption for Chad. Yeah. So I'm sure Lori believes that, Jesus is coming to save her and Chad. No doubt in my mind does she believe that. She's all in on whatever Lori and Chad's religion is or whatever they came up with. She's definitely all in on that. You can't kill your kids if you're not. I mean, really, it's so crazy. It's so crazy. Let's see what she says here. I'm having a hard time reading because I don't have my glasses. Let's see. Adam, thank you. Thank your lucky stars. They aren't calling you as a witness. Oh, I hope they don't. I mean, a long time ago, they had said that I could be on the list. Yeah, I would have to testify how the cops screwed things up. I don't have to testify how the cops screwed things up. I think everybody realizes that the cops screwed things up without me getting up there and saying, hey, the cops screwed things up. But yeah, the whole thing was such a disaster. My family believed everything that Lori and Alex said, that it was self-defense. I was, kicked out of my family basically during that time. So that's a hard memory for me to dive into again, because that was a lonely place for me. I can tell you that right now. That was not fun. Do we have time or are we running out of time? I think we're running out of time. Let's see what she said here. The judge said that she has to write up her questions ahead of time. Oh, well, I'm sure she will write up questions. I'm sure she'll try to be prepared. I'm sure she'll do what they tell her to do. And, again, she's sitting in jail. What else does she have to do? What about Charles's kid for testifying? I don't think Charles's kids know anything. They weren't around. They weren't definitely not around during this. They wouldn't know one thing about Lori trying to conspire to kill Charles. They didn't live there. They weren't involved. Nothing. So I doubt that Zach and Cole are going to be called to be witnesses. And I just feel my heart breaks for them too. Such a disaster. The whole thing is just so out there. So many people are affected all the way down the line. All right, well, we'll end up with this one, and I'll say you're welcome. Deborah says, oh, did I hit it? Thank you both for sharing your time and personal thoughts. Good. So Rex and I like doing this podcast, and we like to talk about things that helps us with our, therapy going through all this. And with you guys, the optimists have been amazing, and you guys have so many things going on in your own lives that you shared with us that have helped us. So for us to share things that maybe help you, or just to talk about things, we're all for it. We appreciate all that. So again, thank you guys for being part of our podcast, for watching. You can send us emails, rexandadam@gmail.com, if you have other things that you need to tell us or ask us. And other than that, we'll wait and see what happens next, and we'll be on the lookout for our next podcast. And I will hit the end stream now.